Hey, what's happening, my people? Here we are once again. Welcome to another exciting
Welcome,
episode of Kingdom
Kingdom
Corner
Corner
Podcast, where we talk about God,
Podcast,
family, and other
and other
stuff.
stuff.
You already know who it is. It's your boy Daquan, and that's Sis on the other side. Sis, say what's up to the
Hi,
people.
hi, beautiful people. It's La
We up in here once
Guarida.
again, man. So this one's going to be a really, really good one. We once again just going through the kitchen, you know what I'm saying, doing what we got to do, grinding the all 22, and trying to figure out what is the next relevant topic that we can talk about that's going to bring some encouragement, that's going to bring some realism
Yep.
to the current state that we're in right now. And what we're talking about today, man, we're talking about parenting entitled kids.
Yes.
Now, this is a topic that it's wild that when this topic came up, sis, there was a lot of people that by we, I'm talking about me and my wife, we were just talking to them. And it's like some of the stuff that we're talking to them about, they're like, yeah, me too. It's
Yep.
a Me Too movement talking about it,
I too.
entitled kids.
Yep.
So that's what we want to talk about today, man. Just kind of get into it, talking about parenting entitled kids. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Jump
Let's
right
kick it
into it.
off. Let's.
Let's kick it
Yeah,
off.
I
Let's
think you
do it.
said. Hold on. Let me, because I know if people are watching this video, I think he said some topics about 2022. I think you took it back 2 years. Yeah, we in 2024. You said
No, 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 no.
2022. Oh,
No,
okay.
no. I mean,
I did.
I was saying we were grinding the all 22.
Oh, skirt. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Grinding the all
Let's
22, not
go.
2022. Come on, give me
Got
some
you.
credit.
Okay.
I know what we ill.
I just had to make
We up
sure,
in here.
the people,
Yeah,
I
hey,
make sure.
you got to get the people what they want. Make sure that they know what they're talking about. But parenting untitled kids. So before we even get into that, we understand what parenting is. At least I believe we should know.
You should.
Taking care of your kids. You know what I'm saying? Just making sure that they're safe, that they're protected, that they're fed, that the so forth and so on. All of the things to ensure that we're doing what we're supposed to do for the kids.
Right.
But now we're talking about parenting entitled kids. Like,
Man,
how do
listen.
we do this? So before we even get into how we do this or how we got here or why we do this, what do we mean when we're talking about entitled? Because I don't know if everybody's definition is the same. So what do
Right.
we mean when we say entitled?
So we're talking about people just feel like they have the right to something. Like I'm entitled to it. Like it's mine regardless of who I am. This is what I deserve. And it's mine.
Ah,
It belongs to me. Whether
and
I'm
that's
good or bad, I'm entitled to it.
there you go. And that's the thing, you know. And we were talking about this yesterday, talking about the two sides of the extremes,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a kid that never gets anything, and when he comes of age, he feels like he deserves because
Right.
he's suffered or he's gone through or whatever the case is. And then on the other side, it's the one that gets everything.
Right.
And it's like once he gets old enough and people start telling him no, and
It's
he's like,
like,
wait a
what you
minute,
mean? No,
what you mean?
nobody tells me no.
What do you mean? I don't even know that word. That word is not in my
Right.
vocabulary. I am
Right.
blessed and highly favored. Ain't no way you can tell me
Tell
no.
me no.
What are you
Do
talking about?
you know who my father is?
Do you know? Son of the king, call me your highness. That's what you do. But
Exactly.
so when we're talking about the title, that's essentially what we're dealing with. We're essentially dealing with kids that think that everything belongs to them.
Right.
And at a certain point it's like to tell them no or to say not right now, it's like it offends them. It like
Yeah.
hurts their feelings, you know. And you already know the generation that we're in right now. Everything's cancel culture and my feelings are hurt and offended by everything. But
Mm,
we got to put a finger on this to try to figure out how do we get through it. So one of the things, if we can relate this biblically, because there have been some instances even in the Bible where we're
mm-hmm.
dealing with an entitled kid.
Right.
If when you get the chance, we're not going to go through it tonight. When you get the chance, go to Second Samuel chapter 15, and in chapter 15 is dealing with Absalom and King David. The
Ooh.
short of it is this: Absalom pursues King David's throne, and
Mm-hmm.
King David's officials come to him and says Absalom is ravening up all this stuff, and then King David has to leave. Absalom thinks he's supposed to be next in line, and so
Have
he does
several
all of this
seats.
stuff. You see what I'm saying? He does all this stuff, and then starts going after his father. The crazy thing
Mm-hmm.
is, I believe if you look at it and you read that, they believe 14, chapter 14 and 15 of Second Samuel, It talks about how David loved Absalom and he poured out all of this stuff and did this for him and did that for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was probably one of them kids that was never told no.
Right.
And
Exactly.
he just like assumed, just like took the role on, was like, all right, I'm the next king. And I guess the way to do that is to remove the old dude in the seat. And it's like, wait a minute, this is still your father. Did we forget
Yep.
that you are
He don't
meant to
care.
do,
Don't
right? We're
care.
meant to do what? We're meant to honor our father and our
Nope.
mother.
That went out the
And he
window.
wasn't trying to do none of that. So again, 2 Samuel 14:15, go check it out and do a little studying up on that from a biblical perspective. But now we can get to what we're dealing with here and now.
Mm-hmm.
So for your thoughts, sis, how do you think we got here? How did we get here?
So
Talking
I
about entitled kids.
so I would say for most parents, coming up, they may not have had all of the finer things in life, whether it's
Mm,
name brand sneakers, whether it's the devices or whatever. They may
hmm
not have had that. So now they have their own kids and they're wanting to give them everything. But in giving them everything, they failed to teach them certain lessons along the way. Hopefully, I'm not
hmm
jumping ahead of myself. But for instance, your child is doing good in school. That's all great, fine, and dandy. Um, but sometimes you don't always have to reward them because as we become adults, like even now, I don't always get rewarded when I do good things
Man,
as an
man.
adult. So if you continue to teach your kids that you get rewarded for every good thing, then when they get older, they're not going to know how to handle a task that they did well, but they're not getting any pats on the back or whatever. You got to still know how to move through that. But going back to the point, I believe it's most parents, they did not receive, certain things or materialistic things as a child. So now they have their own kids and they're giving them everything. But in that, they failed to teach them certain things, you know, and just letting them know, hey, you're getting these shoes, but I want to teach you how to be grateful, how to
Mm,
appreciate, teaching them that sometimes you got to earn these things as well.
yeah.
Keeping up your grades is one thing, but let's make sure you're doing your chores around the house. Because if you're always giving your kid everything that they want, and then now all of a sudden they're getting into that teenage, that young adult age, and now you want to put the pause on them and like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Oh no, you're not getting that. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute, you've been doing it all this time. What you mean you not? So for
Yeah.
me, I think that's how we got here,
Mm.
to these some of these kids feeling like they are entitled.
Yeah, and I would agree with you that we have, and if we could speak for us, even
Mm,
for us as we went through, coming up through the '80s, early '90s. You know what I'm saying?
millennials.
Yeah, it wasn't like it is now. There are a lot of things that are just so easily accessible, from the devices to the internet and
Ooh,
honestly, even financially, there's a
yeah.
lot of easily accessible things. Like real talk, somebody just now is a millionaire off of something they did on TikTok. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We didn't have
Just
that.
now, and this kid's 18 years old. He don't know nothing about money. All he knows, I
Man.
want to be an influencer. He's got a good gig. He's out here doing it. And so there's a sense of, and let me go back real quick. When we're looking at that entitlement, the entitlement comes from this feel good place of
Mm-hmm.
always getting what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And we're leaning more so on always getting what they want or desiring the thing that they never had. And so this
That's
is
good.
why, you see what I'm saying? This is why God tells us in the Ten Commandments, part of that is don't covet your neighbor's things. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but don't covet the thing of your neighbor. Right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't yearn for the thing that the other person has.
Mm-hmm.
Because what that does, it creates a sense of envy. And now, because you want it so bad, you desire it so bad, this was the problem that we had with Lucifer. Lucifer
Mm.
desired God's throne, and then
So,
so much so
yep.
he felt like he felt he was entitled to it because he was the most beautiful, he was the most
Uh-huh.
musical, he was the second in command of all of the angels.
Mm-hmm.
There was status. You
There was
feel? There was
entitlement.
status in that, and then the entitlement came like, who are you to tell me I can't be? In fact, I'm
Right.
not going to just take your throne. I'm going to ascend my throne higher than the Most
Then
High's throne. And so this is where the kids come in and they think, who are you to tell me? I'm not
right.
only am I going to do this, I'm going to do this too, and I'm going to say that too, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's
Right.
like,
Now we're
whoa,
getting into
time out.
disrespect. So now not only do you feel entitled, but now there's disrespect that comes
And this,
behind this entitlement.
yeah,
Uh, and now me and you gonna have to get funky because
you
what you
ain't
not
you
gonna
ain't hitting
do,
kids out here. You
what
ain't.
you in the throat, what you not gonna do is disrespect me. And look, I didn't get all of the Jordans. I didn't get all of the latest and greatest. That I didn't have a cell phone at the age of 9. Okay, let's talk about it.
Like
I didn't have a iPad at the age of 7. Like these kids are so privileged. They do not understand. I'm gonna talk
they
about
don't
my
get it.
kids. Like they don't understand. We lived in a time, and I mean, us millennials, and the older generations, we lived in a time where all of these electronic devices and things, we didn't have access to these things, you know. So
Hmm.
our fun was going outside, playing in some dirt, flipping on some dirty mattresses, or what I'm saying, just going
Talk
out
about
hanging
it,
in the streets, riding bikes. But these kids now, I want my
man.
iPad,
I
I want
wish you
my
would kick a
TV,
kid out right now.
give me my cell phone. Like, who do you think
Wait a
you
minute,
are?
kid.
Wait a minute, wait a
Let me
minute.
wipe this tear for you, cause you about to.
Yeah. And the sad part is with that entitlement and like I said, the disrespect comes. And for that parent, if you're not teaching and disciplining your child, there is a healthy way to discipline. And
Hmm.
if you're not disciplining them the correct way, as they get older, it's just going to become worse. They're going to start stealing. They're going to start doing other things to get what they want, and it's not going to be pretty. And it's going to
Hmm.
be because there was no discipline. You gave them everything, but there was no discipline. There was no chastisement. There was no none of that. It was just give, 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 and
And
you never taught your kids how to be appreciative of what they receive.
and it goes a step further when we look at this, something in the body called dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
And what the dopamine is essentially the feel good hormone. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you sense a happiness or joy or some sort of pleasure, that dopamine is released to bring your mood up and to make you feel
Mm-hmm.
good about you. And so what's happened in today's society, there's this overload of dopamine. So there's just a shot after shot after shot, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Facebook, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, money, money, money. Like we're talking about the materialistic things that bring in a lot of this overjoy. So much
Mm-hmm.
so that even to tell somebody, hey, you probably should slow down, hey, moderation in this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and like it takes them off of that dopamine high and it makes them
Mm-hmm.
feel offended because, wait, I should be entitled
Right.
to feel this way all the time. I should be
Mm.
happy. Oh, don't you want me to be happy? Wait, don't be trying to manipulate me like I don't know
It
what happiness is.
come on. Come
So
on.
don't do that because the life that we lead as Christians, it's not always going to be how they say unicorns and
Oh.
rainbows, sunshine and
Mm-mm.
flowers, whatever
Mm-mm.
the analogy that you want to use. It's not going to always be that.
It's
Christ says,
not.
in this life, you're going to get offended. Offenses are going to come, is what he said.
Yep.
So that lets us know there's going to be tough times. It's
Yep.
going to be tough times. And he said, I didn't come. He said, oh man, this was a good one. He said, I didn't come to bring peace, but a
Mm.
sword. What is he saying? He's saying, I'm going to pit the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, so forth and so on. And what he's saying is, I'm pitting those against those who don't want me. I've got to separate you
Mm.
because you can't get to a place where you feel like you're entitled to certain things. No, 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 no. I am your exceeding and great reward.
Yep.
it's me. It's not the stuff that I have. It's not the stuff that you get. It's not the things
Mm-hmm.
that you feel like you've earned. It's not
Mm-hmm.
those things. Now, you going back to your point earlier, you were talking about how yes, it is great, and we need to make sure that we establish hard work and good ethic and work ethic in our kids, so
Mm-hmm.
they know what the value of a dollar is, what the
Right.
value of hard work is, and therefore, when they go forth and they earn their place, they earn their keep. There is a sense of pride that comes with it, not a selfish pride, but a
Right.
pride that's due to, okay, I worked my way through it. I got
Yeah.
through it. I was challenged and I got over
Okay.
the hurdle.
Yep.
I was, at a place of hurt and I didn't get everything that I want, but look where I am
And
now.
now they,
The
man.
experience of going through all of that brought me to
Mm-hmm.
this place. Man, there was something that Christ said to his disciples at the time that they went out and they were healing and they came to him super excited. Jesus, we out there healing in your name. We were doing these things in your name, and the power on us was so
Mm-hmm.
great. You know what he said to them? He didn't crush their dreams, but he did bring them back to reality. He
Mm-hmm.
said, don't marvel at these things. He said, have
Mm-hmm.
joy in the fact that your
Mm-hmm.
name is written in the book of life.
Yep.
Have joy in knowing that your name is written in the book of life. It's like, man, wait a minute.
Wait a
So
minute. Wait a
the things that you
minute.
showed me, you know what I'm saying? And that was to keep them from getting so puffed up. If you go back and you look, the disciples had moments
They
where
did.
everybody wanted to be esteemed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to be God, Jesus' right hand man.
Mm-hmm.
They were, I'm
Mm-hmm.
the favorite disciple. I'm the favorite
No,
disciple.
I'm the
And he
favorite. No, I'm the favorite.
and he had to humble them with that. Like, don't marvel at this stuff. Because why? In the kingdom, these things are meant to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Healing is meant to be normal. Miracles and signs and wonders, those things were meant to be normal
Right.
here because I am here.
Mm-hmm.
But don't marvel at those things.
Nope.
Marvel at
Mama
the fact
not.
that yeah, your name is written in the book of life. So when we're talking about parenting entitled kids, it's about allowing them a place of understanding hard work and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that nothing's come easy. There is no free lunch. There,
Mm-mm.
everything has a cost.
Yes.
Everything has a toil or a challenge to go through it. I have a quote, and we're gonna get to the to practicality, like what do we do to combat this entitled generation. But I have a quote I want to read real quick before we go any further. And it's some that many have heard, I'm sure, but I think it's fitting. And here's what it
Mm-hmm.
says. It says, tough times create strong men.
Mm.
Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak
Mm.
men create tough times. And so you see that circle. This guy that talked about this quote, he said, my great grandfather walked 10 miles a day. My grandfather drove a Ford. My father drove a Cadillac. I'm
Mm.
driving a Mercedes. My son's going to drive a Bugatti. And so you see, so he goes through that lineage of seeing how we come from this certain generation of hard work
Mm-hmm.
and toil, and then it pushes itself and it pushes itself so much so to where it finally reaches that that midway point to where
Yeah.
now we've made it and we don't have to work as hard. We don't
Right.
have to do as much. Man,
Right.
all is well now. So when I say, hey, I remember seeing, I know I'm talking a lot, but I've seen this on Dr. Phil. I got so many examples. This is a good topic I'm trying to tell you.
It is, it is. I'm letting you get it all out because I got a
Listen,
few things.
I said the last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna let you go. I saw this on Dr. Phil. This one lady brought her daughter on, and she was just trying to figure out why she couldn't get her daughter to understand that what she was doing was to help her. And essentially, what mom was saying was, I'm not giving her everything anymore because she's 16 and she needs to know the value of a dollar. I am not a
Mm-hmm.
walking bank.
There you
And
go.
so her daughter came on the show and was highly upset. Homegirl cried crocodile tears because her mother would not buy her the car and color that she wanted, and then the purse to go with it.
Mm-mm.
And Dr. Phil sat there, was like, are you serious right now? And here's what mom says. She says, listen, I'm not buying you this car. You need to get a job. Girl broke down into hardcore
Entitled.
tears and was like, I
Entitlement.
can't believe you're making me get a job. Why can't
What?
you just buy me the car? You always buy me and get me. Why can't you just make me? Why can't you just do it? You already are working. Why do I have to work? It's
See, that's
like, what?
that.
What? But
Mm.
that's where we are.
Yeah,
That's where we are. So go ahead with your examples real quick.
yeah. So I'm glad to kind of piggyback off of what you said with that. Now, and I mean, I think gradually she could have put that in there, teaching our kids to be humble, giving them examples. And I tell my kids this. Now, mind you, my kids, like I said, they have tablets, they have the iPads, they have flat screen TVs, cell phones, like they have it. And I remind them all the time, never get to a point where you begin to get so high minded, you get so so much vain and you forget that at any moment, at any time, all of this can be gone.
Yeah.
So appreciate everything that you have, and it's
Hmm.
okay to share, learning how to give, because some kids don't know how to share, some
Don't know how to
kids
share.
don't know how to donate. Your iPad is
Ooh,
done. God bless your mom or dad or your parents to have a great career, making great money, and all of that is good. Doing good things for your kids, we're not saying it's bad, but it's how you're teaching them, disciplining them, and what you're instilling in your kid. And mine, I tell them all the time, I said, there's people less fortunate than you. There's kids
hmm,
that have to go to McDonald's to get internet and borrow somebody's laptop or iPad. You guys have laptops. If your laptop doesn't work, you got an iPad. But be grateful for the things God has blessed you with. So every now and then they get that little entitled spirit. Well, we just want to go here and there. I'm tired. I worked all day. So
I
what you
ain't going
guys are
nowhere.
gonna do, you guys gonna get a book and read it, or you guys gonna work on a project or your craft or whatever it is you say you want to do for the future. Let's start working on that now. Let's
Mm,
start doing that now. Let's get out of the electronic devices for a second and let's get to coloring, reading a book, educate yourself and stop feeling like
man,
because I said no right now in this moment. So you need to learn how to accept the no's, and teaching our kids how to accept no's will help them in the long run. So when somebody tells them no, they won't get depressed, upset, or full of rage and be wanting to cuss you out and beat you up. They'll be
that's it,
like, okay, you know what? Mom said no this time. Maybe next time there will be a yes. But learning how to take a no, process it, and move on with their life. That's it.
man, and that's so good. And again, it makes me think about Paul when he says he asked 3 times to remove the thorn from his side, and the response to him was, "Hey, my grace is sufficient." Now, of course, Paul is not a kid, but he is a son of the Most High God.
Mm-hmm.
Paul didn't get to a place of entitlement where he felt like, God, you owe me this. I'm doing your work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an apostle. I'm a chief apostle to the Gentiles, so forth and so on. All of these accolades and accomplishments that I've done as a Pharisee, and now you've changed me from Saul to Paul. So why can't you remove this from me? Why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you love me? Type thing, you know. And that's not what he did. And so there's a lot of examples that help us see exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes God allows certain things to be in our lives in order that we, in fact, Paul says this also, so that we don't boast. You don't
Mm-hmm.
boast in yourself. He says, in fact, I
Ooh.
boast in my infirmity. I don't
Mm-hmm.
boast in what God has done for me, though
Right.
I do uphold him and I do glorify him more than anything. But I don't boast in the things that I have done. I
Right.
boast in my infirmity because I know where things could be a whole lot worse.
A whole
Things
lot.
could be a whole lot worse. So as we look at the practical ways, we already hinted towards it. But one of the things that you talked about, just as a vital point, is understanding that it's okay to do things for our kids, but also to tell them no. Like we were just literally just talking about that. So that's one of the practical ways of
Mm-hmm.
how do we deal with, parenting entitled kids.
Yeah.
Allow them to do the good things, allow the good things to happen, allow them to earn and to grow and
Yeah.
to experience and to be challenged. Like, do those things for them. But just because that happens doesn't mean everything deserves a gold star.
Mm-hmm.
Everything doesn't deserve a participation trophy.
Right.
for our kids they are involved in a lot of things, and sometimes you come out on top, and sometimes it
You
just doesn't
don't.
work out the way you thought. And so,
Mm-hmm.
how do you parent them through that? So where you they don't think that every time they do this, here's the expected result.
Right.
I've been doing, my job, my career for over 20 years. I do have an expectation of what I want to do on the next level and the next level. And sometimes it just didn't work out in the
Right.
timeline that I wanted it to.
Right.
So what do I do? Do I stop doing
Right.
what I'm doing because I didn't get what I want? No, that's not it at all. And
No.
so, and then the next point you talked about was disciplining.
Mm-hmm.
That is such an important
That's
portion. And when
important,
we,
especially today.
yeah, and when we're talking about discipline, we're talking about, getting to a place where we, um, sit them down or give them a timeout or give them, some kind of consequence. But
Mm-hmm.
then also, I think what partners with that is explaining why
There you
the
go.
discipline is happening.
Yep.
You see, we want to explain it. Why do I think that's a prerogative that we as parents will want to have? Because not that I have to tell you anything. Let
Nope.
me just keep it a buck. You feel me? Because if I
Right.
got a consequence for you and it's harsh or simple or whatever the case is, I don't owe you nothing.
I don't
I don't owe
owe
you nothing.
you a
It's
thing.
just, but in order for them to ensure that there's not this sense of entitlement, I
Right.
explain to them, hey, here's where you went wrong, and here's why the consequence is coming.
Right.
Here's why. Here's the severity of it. You see what I'm saying? The thing that you did is meeting the criteria of this consequence. So
Right.
when you have done this, or if you ever decide that you want to do this again, you know
Mm,
what
no,
to
the
expect and
consequence.
what's coming.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you know what's coming.
Yep.
So I think that that is important that that is explained. And now that doesn't mean we explain that every single time,
No.
because that can be kind of manipulative. Well, you never told me why. You never explained it to me why. How come you didn't do it this time? No, no, no. Balance that thing out. Get a feel for your kids. Get a feel
Yeah.
for when we need to, how we navigate what the consequence is and whether or not we're going to explain it in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they're young because they're so impressionable
Yeah.
and you want them to
Questionable.
know.
Why is
Yeah.
this? Why is that? How come you didn't do this? Well, I'm confused. You didn't. And you're right. They will say to you, I didn't know because you didn't say it this time. So having that balance. But I think as parents, and if somebody is listening that's saying, man, you know, the Lord blessed me financially, and there was a time when my kids didn't have this, that, or the third, because I noticed one thing: when kids, a lot of kids don't have, and then they have, it changes their mindset, it changes their attitude. They start looking down on other people like,
Mhm.
your shoes not better than mine. Your shoes don't cost. It does not matter what things cost. And I think as a society, we have gotten into this thing where it's like, you know, and that's where, also some of this entitlement, like I gotta stay up with the Joneses, as we would say, like I gotta
Right.
stay fly. There's nothing wrong with having nice things and the finer things of life. But what
Not
is
at
your
all.
attitude? And that's what I tell my kids. If I'm gonna spend $120 on a pair of sneakers, I need everything to be right with you. And what I mean by that, they're not perfect, but we need to have those grades up. I better not get a bad report about, your behavior problems in school, or, you know, your room better be on point. You want my money to be on your feet, then we need to make sure some things are lined up. So there are some kids, that is receiving good things, all of everything that they want, and they know how to be grateful and humble, to share, be respectable, and also appreciative to their
Yeah.
parents, and give back and know how to give. So I think these things are important coming from two parents.
Yeah.
I think these things are important in teaching our kids, so when they get older, we don't have to, deal with any disrespect, but just letting them know, hey, I'm taking this thing away from you because you and we discussed a few things that was going to happen if this and that and the third came into play. You failed on your end. So now these are the consequences because you not holding up your word. I kept my word. I did what I was supposed to do, but you failed on your end. So this is what's going to happen. We're going to
Yeah,
take this away for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see how you do. You got grace because God gives us grace.
indeed he does.
He gives us grace. So I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to give you a 2 week grace period to get
Hmm.
yourself back in line. And as
That's it.
long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, we can
We
continue
don't.
on.
And
Yep.
so, and with that point, that I believe that also couples with um, a great relationship between parent
Yeah.
and child.
Yeah.
So when we're going through and we're talking about this, how to parent through or the practical ways of parenting through, when we're doing these things, it also helps build that, can keep that bond close and
Yep.
keeps that relationship close because
Yeah.
kids do need that structure. They do need to know that mom and dad are there for them, you
Yep.
know, whether it be, financially or even and more so emotionally, but also
Yes.
even spiritually. So, a lot of times when I go through and, I do certain things with my kids and then there's consequences that come with it.
Yep.
During the time, let's say it's a 2 week period of their consequence, during that time, I come to them and I talk to them and I'm
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, how are you doing during this
Yeah.
time?
Talk
You
to
know what
him.
I'm saying? And I
That's
and I try
important.
to keep that relationship between us so that way they
Yeah.
know I'm not disgusted with you. I'm not hating on you. I don't dislike you. I don't like your behavior. I
Right.
don't like the attitude. I don't
Right.
like the spirit that you're trying to come at me with. And
Right.
so, and then during that time too, another vital piece I believe is important on how we can deal with um, parenting entitled kids is also prayer.
Yeah.
Praying with our kids and, taking the moment and kids at the moment. And I think that I can speak even for myself in the moments when my mom prayed for me, when things were happening and, I'm grounded, I'm on punishment, but
Oof.
we would do family prayer and she's praying
Yeah.
for me. I'm like, I know you ain't praying for me right now. You just
Yeah.
grounded me. What you say? There's a
You
little
don't love
indignation
me.
in there. Like,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
how are you going? This such a contradiction. You gonna ground me
Ground
and
me
pray
and
for
pray
me?
for me at the
It's
same
such a
time.
conflicted. You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to feel love right
I
now?
don't
This
feel
don't
it right
feel.
now.
I don't feel it right now. So, but I do that so they know that this is the same way God deals with us. So when we have those consequences, we have those natural consequences happen in our lives, um, we want to deal with them now. So when they
Mm-hmm.
get older and things happen, you know who to turn to. You
Right.
turn to the one who's able to help, the one who's able to bring you back straight, get you on the straight and narrow, the one that can talk to you in your time
Mm-hmm.
of depression or oppression or issue or whatever it
Right.
is. And that is that relationship that I want to establish here. So I know if you will do it with me here, and then
Right.
I bring the Father into it, you see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Now is so much better that even and then here's the thing too, and we'll probably do a part two to this.
We can.
Parenting, parenting entitled adult kids. I tell you now, that's a whole nother topic.
That's listen,
That's a whole nother topic.
a whole nother
It's very
topic.
a whole nother topic. And some of the same similar things that we're talking about here, but at a grander level because it's not the same when you're
Yes.
dealing with younger kids. But
Whew.
that's pretty much it right there.
Yeah.
Um, we
Great
are
episode.
we are
Yeah.
definitely at the end of our episode.
Sorry,
Um,
guys.
so sorry, man, but this one we felt that this one was going to be a good one. We hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Talking about
Yes.
parenting entitled kids, going through that understanding, and had taken someone away from it that we shared in our experiences as parents, what it
Yes.
looks like, and then how to deal with it moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
and from a Christian perspective. So, man, this has been so good. But
So good, bro.
before we
Yes.
go, we want to go ahead and give a shout out to Kingdom Close real quick, sis. Go ahead and take it away.
Y'all already know. So you see, those that are watching the video, we are actually wearing product of Kingdom Clothes. This is the Line of Judah hat, and my brother has on the Kingdom Clothes brand hat. Still available on the website, kingdomclothes.com. KLOTHEZ. It wouldn't be right if I didn't say that. So
Hmm.
definitely check out the website and purchase your merchandise. Back to
Make it
you.
happen. Back to you, Sam. But anyway, man, hey, we really appreciate you guys. We love you guys so much. Sis, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. This is always fun
Absolutely.
to be able to get on these
Exactly.
topics and just go back and forth and have this relationship and relatable information to push out to all of our listeners and now viewers. So
Yes.
cool. So, man, love you guys. Come back, check us out here again on Kingdom Corner Podcast, where we talk about God, family, and other
And
stuff.
other stuff. See you guys later.